This golf swing discovery right here is something I wish I knew much sooner. When I was playing and practicing a good 10 or so years ago trying to make it in this game, I always wondered why so many golfers were able to hit the ball so much further than me with worse swings. More frustratingly, hit the ball straighter as well. As I'd usually see this high right shot that would just spin off well off target, or now and again that low, horrible, hooky shot, even with something like a mid-iron. Well, this was until one day I discovered something. I found something in my actual golf swing, and I tested this. Once I tried it, I noticed a huge difference. Two identical golf swings, two completely different outcomes. So we're going to be covering the difference between the two, how you can add this new discovery to your golf swing, and finally I'm going to cover a bonus tip that shows you how you can improve the ball striking with your irons and the comparison and how they should be different for the driver. So make sure you stick around for that. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Harry, a golf swing specialist coach, posting content like this every single week to help golfers across the globe improve their swings and lower their scores. So do consider clicking that subscribe button and ringing that bell if you find these tips useful for your own golf swing. So let's begin by actually discussing the difference between those two shots. Now, the first one, what you'll notice there is the club face angle itself was very open, causing the golf ball to go quite far to the right. Compared to the second one, my club face was fairly square and the golf ball went dead straight. That wasn't the only difference. Now, I'm aware that the second shot I did swing 1.5 miles faster than the previous shots hit compared to the two. However, every 1 mile/hour of club head speed, swing speed, so how fast you swing the golf club, is only really equivalent to 3 extra yards. I should have technically gained there 4.5 yards more, when actually I nearly gained up to 30 yards. So how can that be the case? Well, what's happened there is the club face, as we open up this club face with our irons, it encourages the actual golf club here to increase in the loft it's presented at the golf ball. So what I mean by that is as the club's delivering down into the golf ball, as we're striking this golf ball, the more we open up this club face, the more that's going to increase the loft. I've got the perfect aid just for this, just to show you. Have a look at this here. So there's the loft. If I was just to start to open that up, you can see the difference in where this metal rod here is pointing. Makes a big difference, doesn't it? It's pointing a lot higher up in the air. So not only is the club face opening and causing our golf shots to go too far to the right, but this right here is encouraging the golf ball to go a lot shorter because of the way the club is presented at impact. Open club face increases the loft presented at impact. So why is it then that the club face is open as we make our way into the downswing? You could see then, have a look again, the difference between those two golf swings. They looked identical. So this actually wasn't something to do with me tweaking or changing anything during my golf swing itself. It was something I did just before I started that motion. And it's all to do with the way you grip the golf club. So the way I was gripping the golf club was having my thumb here directly pretty much in the middle of this grip like so. My left hand thumb here was on directly in the center point of the golf grip like this here. So this thumb here was pointing directly up along the Golf Pride logo here. So we're going to call this part here, this line, presented as the center point, or 12 o'clock. Anyone who grips the golf club like this, or even more so this away, is going to have issues with their golf shots simply because it encourages the face to open up. And I'll explain that in just a sec. But if we just bring this back down like so, that was how I was gripping the golf club for shot number 1. And you can see that that was encouraging my right hand to move quite far over like so I could make sure I got the palm to grip the golf club like so. But again, it opens the face. The second shot, I moved my thumb position. I moved my entire hand ever so slightly more over like this here. Now the thumb, rather than being down the center point, it's roughly around 2 o'clock. My left thumb there is touching 2 o'clock with this V shape being formed and pointing directly up towards my right shoulder like this here. So now I actually take the right hand on now, it's nowhere near as far over. Now, why is that so significant? Why is that so important to us when it comes to hitting our golf shots? Well, this brings into the second part. Why is that such a significant difference? And it's all to do with the way our hands and arms are naturally positioned, like so here. So whenever we are in a resting position, try this now for me, whenever we are in a resting position, like this here, our hands and arms fold almost, well, they don't fold, but they move ever so slightly inwards like this here. So this is what we call ever so slight bit of internal rotation. So where the arms move ever so slightly inwards. So if you were to stand up and try this, just stand up in a straight line like so, and let your hands just relax, you will feel them just all of a sudden move ever so slightly inwards. What we'll notice there is if we were to grip it like this here, what have we got to do to get into our natural position? Now, if we were to relax, we've got to move that palm more inwards. Now, if I was just to do that same motion and bring the golf club up to this point, bring it inwards, look what happens. Our entire arm moves internally, like we mentioned before, but because of the way we're holding this golf club, it's going to open it up. If I was to hold onto the golf club like we did for shot number 2, so the better way, and I bring this back up, well, my arm's already set in this natural position, so it's not going to want to fight or get into that position because it's already there. Shot number 1 was out of position. So the shot number 1's like this, it's going to move that way. When we relax, it's going to move this away. So during my golf swing, and a lot of my students' golf swings who have done this as well, the more you relax, almost the worse it gets. Because when you're into this position here, the more you relax, the more the arm's going to move inwards into its natural position. With the winter months rolling in and Christmas right round the corner, this is the perfect time to dial in your indoor golf setup. And if you're thinking about upgrading your simulator, you've got to check out the BenQ ACE Series AK700 ST. This is a 4K laser projector built specifically for golf simulators, and it genuinely takes your indoor experience to another level. One of my favourite features is the auto screen fit. You literally turn it on and it automatically detects your impact screen and adjusts the image for you. No fiddling with settings, no guessing, it locks in perfectly in just a few seconds. And because of the save throw ratio, you don't have to worry about shadows or worse, catching the projector with your club on the follow through. It stays out the way so you can focus fully on your swing. But what really stands out are the visuals. The golf mode colours make the fairways and greens pop, the blues, the contrast, everything looks incredibly vivid and lifelike. It feels as close to the real course as you can get inside 4 walls. It's bright, powerful and super easy to use. Perfect if you want a premium sim experience without any extra hassle. The best part is the AK700 ST isn't just for golf. When you're done working on your game, you can switch it over for movies, sports and gaming, whatever you're into. It's a proper all-round projector the whole family can enjoy. So whether you're keeping your game sharp through the winter or just spending quality time at home this holiday season, the BenQ AK700 ST will absolutely take your setup to the next level, on and off the course. If we can get the hand to rest onto the golf club from where it's naturally formed, from where it's naturally relaxed, like so, that's going to take away any sort of deviation whatsoever to this club face during the golf swing. So how to actually form this correctly. With regards to the actual grip and how this should be set onto the golf club, we've already mentioned there that we want to see the lead hand thumb, the glove hand thumb, to be placed at 2 o'clock. For left-handed golfers, it's going to be the opposite, sort of the 10 o'clock position on the golf club. Now, when it comes to taking the trail hand on, the key to this is making sure that the squishy bit in your palm here snugs in onto the side of this thumb here. So that is the key. That connection there is the difference between being able to control the golf club during your golf swing and someone who can't. So that is right there, the grip. And now we can see this V formation here between the trail hand's index finger and thumb going up towards the right arm and shoulder again. So that's the key. So gripping it like so, trusting that same swing. And another shot. Dead easy, swung a little bit slower there, but still totaled out at 0.6 yards. Big difference there between the first shot hit. Now, just before we move on to the bonus tip, first off, how this should work for the irons. When you go and give this a try and start to implement this on the course, I'd highly recommend you taking advantage and downloading my free course management starter guide. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. I'll leave the QR code onto the right hand side of the screen for the next 30 seconds so you can scan that if you're watching this on the big screen. So bonus tip for the irons, how they should work. Well, the key with an iron is we want to be able to see those hands working more ahead as we make our way into the downswing. Now, whenever we work our hands more ahead of that golf club, it does encourage, obviously, shaft lean. Shaft lean is a promoter of an open club face as well. So obviously beforehand, when we had that grip and we'd do shaft lean, we'd have no chance of hitting the golf ball square. So now we've got the grip sorted, how can we learn to naturally close this club face down so it stays nice and square? Well, what I want you to do is nice and simply focus on the backswing and downswing, just ensuring that you get the club working in the same position. Now, the same position is where we see the leading edge of the club face parallel with the spine angle. Leading edge of the club face here parallel with the spine angle as you set the club like this here into the backswing. For me, I'm just ensuring I'm keeping my trail palm here on top of the lead and my palm here is pointing towards the ground. Now, if I was just to rotate into the back of the golf ball, we can see how square that leaves the golf club. So you can start by just focusing on setting the club into that backswing there and just hitting a few chip shots like so. Not too worried about the strike just yet, just ensuring that you're focused on getting that leading edge of the club face parallel with the spine angle. So I'm hinging my trail wrist a lot more there just to make sure I'm setting the club in the correct position. Now, once you've got used to that, hit a few shots just doing that, you can start to move this into the downswing and full swing. So we're getting into this position, working up to the top, and all we want is just to ensure that as we start to wind down, we are getting that club there to face on the same angle, just like that there. Have a look what happens. We actually start to hit them left from a really, really good strike. The reason why that's probably gone a little bit to the left is my tendency is just flipping the club over a little bit too much too soon on the way down. So I've over-rotated my arms, over-rotated my wrists, and that's caused the club face to close down just a little bit. So what I can trust now is that if I start to turn more into the downswing, hold this angle for a little bit longer, I can actually start to square that club face, but also trust that my hands are nice and ahead of the golf ball. Just like that one there. Now, for the driver, this works differently because irons want to be hitting down on the golf ball, so hands should stay a lot more ahead in comparison to what a driver should look like at impact. If I was to make my way into impact doing the same motion as an iron and holding this angle for a lot longer, we can see there, due to the limited loft presented at impact, because a driver's like 10 degrees of loft rather than 30 or so degrees in loft, if we were to bring the hands forward and learn how to close that down, we can see what that does at impact. It's going to de-loft it massively. That's no good. So what we want to be ensuring, just as the bonus tip for driver, is that we are returning this golf club. Once we've got this grip sorted, we are returning the golf club back to where it was at address. So we're trying to form a dead straight line for driver from where the club head is through the shaft all the way up to the top end of the grip like this here. If we start to see it go too far forwards, we're going to reduce the loft too much and we're not going to get any distance or a decent carry distance from this. We want to get to the very top of the swing and focus on returning this back down to impact. So a great way of doing this is getting your golf bag and placing it over on this side like so. So it's ever so slightly ahead of where you would aim to hit. Now, if the actual club head hits the bag, we know that that now forms a nice and straight line. If we feel that the shaft hits the bag first, like so, those hands are too far ahead. So this is a great drill if you're working on driver to improve that accuracy, just by simply moving back and forth, still rotating the hips on the way through, still working on that downswing sequence of turning the body through to target. You're just trying to get the driver head here to touch the bag at the same time as the club shaft does. If the club shaft is the only thing touching it, we know that's no good. So nice and simple there, just focusing on that move back and forth, just to allow for that driver to square up and also present a good loft to the golf ball. Certainly take that one. Club face is under control there. Nice little bit of a draw. Pretty good there for this early start in the morning. So make sure you take advantage of that free course management guide once you start to take these tips and drills onto the course. I'll leave the QR code over to the right hand side of your screen to check that out, or also the link is in the description below. If you're looking for more in-depth videos on how you can control that club face, improve the strike with your irons and driver, I suggest diving into this video next, as that goes into way more detail on the bonus tips we've discussed today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you, hopefully, in that video down there.